Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. My name is Jeremy. I'll be leading our call today. So I'll give it a couple minutes in case anyone is still coming in, and then I'll go over our normal intro spiel. Um, but we don't have any pre-submitted questions that I have seen. So if you have anything, I'd love for you to post it in the Q&A, and I'd be happy to take a look. But otherwise, yeah, we got some people uh, joining in. So I'll kind of go over some of the beginning things, point out a couple things we got coming up, and again, post questions in Q&A if you have anything. Um, so kind of highlighting a lot of the usuals, we have our YouTube channel, we have the Solutions Marketplace, and we have a lot of events and things coming up. So if you're curious about anything that we've got going on, definitely come check any of those things out. We've got our YouTube channel, decisions training. If you're looking for that, you can also look for decision support and you'll usually find it. But this is where we post all of our lunch and learns. They've got a lot of great videos that we've been posting. So we've got a few things that went up last week, like Gregory's Google Cloud Module video, and got some integration activities and stuff. So there's some really cool things on there. Definitely check that out. A lot of different topics and concepts to check out, as well as the lunch and learns. We've got events coming up that you can always check out as well. So coming up in a month, we've got our Submerse Deep Dive training. So that's a virtual training, 4 days, going to cover a lot of really cool things. We've got a new project that we've been building that we're going to be happy to debut here and kind of walk through a lot of different concepts that we don't do in our usual kind of beginner Submerse training. So definitely some cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, you can register here. We've got a webinar coming up about our AI chatbot concepts and how you can use and develop your own chatbot. And that's coming up this week. So time's running out to sign up for that. And then our biweekly decisions product roadmap reviews are coming back. So we used to do those and we're bringing them back again to learn about what's coming up, upcoming features and different things going to, coming to our system. So definitely check those out if you're curious and everything. So without further ado, I guess we can go into questions. Don't have any questions. So if we have anything, I'd be happy to discuss um, or take a look at anything that we're curious about. Let me at least open up my decisions instance so I can go there if we need anything. I'll just quickly highlight what's coming up on that Submerse. So this is an incomplete version of it, but this is this project that we're building with the idea of it being a dog training system, utilizing a few things that we actually don't do in any of our training systems fully, and we definitely have not done in any Submerse events. So I don't know how many of you, I know Grant, I've seen you at the last Submerse event, but how many of you have been to any of our like live training event things in the past? But we typically will do some of our like really basic ones that we've done, and there have been other ones that are some of our older submerses have been more focused on, some of the sales perspectives and things. But regardless, we're building out this interesting one that will kind of be focused on getting information through an API call from dogs with dog breeds and then setting those dog breeds up with a trainer. So then you can have the different types of dog breeds go to different trainers, and the different trainers will have different types of training that they would do. So maybe sending a dog in for behavior training, or maybe sending a dog in for training to be a police dog, or it's learning like maneuverability or running and different things like that. So different like training programs. And so the idea is you can take in the dog's information, you can add groups to the dogs and then reports for managers and trainers to view their schedule and set up calendar events for the dogs and everything. And so concept here is there's different flows running for different trainers. So then the different trainers can set up the schedules and then actually develop a little contract. So definitely using a lot of really interesting concepts here that we haven't explored in other submerses. So we're really excited to have it ready we do have a full project, so we know exactly how it works. The version I have isn't quite um, built out fully yet, but so I can't quite fully demo it. But that's what the Smurfs is for. So definitely a really neat project. We're really excited to debut it. So if you're interested or know people that want to learn a little bit more about some concepts and decisions, definitely apply for that because it's going to be pretty neat. Um, let's see here. What else can I talk about so we don't jump to conclusions? Oh, actually, is that a project we can view after the submerse is complete? I always like getting ideas of different projects. Yeah, we'll talk with the team about our plan for what we're gonna do with it after. So we did build this project specifically for the Submerse event. So that's like the main reason for it. We haven't quite discussed what we're gonna do with it after. But we are gonna make a click-through guide. So we had, on the last Submerse event training that we did for our product, or our purchase request build, we did create a click-through guide that you can kind of follow along step by step and build the project out. So we're going to be doing that same thing with this project, and then we'll kind of build it along with teaching interesting concepts and new concepts in that Submerse event. And then we'll be talking with the training team. I'll be talking with them, and we'll kind of decide exactly what we're doing with it after. So I'm sure we don't want to just, drop the project and forget about it. We'll probably use it for other events and things. But I'm sure you'll hear more when we get a little bit closer to that if we kind of discuss what we want to do with it. And if we'll send it out, maybe just add it to our Docebo training projects that you can build on and different things. But we'll definitely have more information as that gets closer when we get a chance to talk more about what we want to do with it after. But great question. Yeah, I'm sure we won't, get rid of it. I'm sure we'll do something with it or push it out or something like that. Good question. All right. Second question from BT. If you have a create data inside of a for each loop, is there a best practice on how to catch how data is changing on each iteration? Let me open up just a quick flow and throw this in that real quick. And then I give you the ability to talk if you want to add anything or just kind of clarify anything while I'm throwing this together real quick. Okay. Create data inside for each loop. Is there best practice on how to catch how data is changing on each iteration?
My problem is that this create data it doesn't show the iterations. It just shows I don't know, the last one, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but
You're talking about like it's like if I like look at any point in the process here, it's only going to show me whatever iteration I'm looking at, not necessarily
uh,
the
it, I mean, if you debug,
right. Let me actually just grab this real quick. You're talking about like how this, right? It just shows the one item that went through it. Is that what you're referring to?
yeah. So if you get to the other iteration, uh, okay, that could be something referring to the data changing, not straight like that, but some calculation and create data based on those calculations inside of the flow. Oh, should be a different example, I guess.
I mean, if you can clarify a little bit, I can, adjust this. You're saying like, are you talking about like if I doing something to this
Yeah.
list data first before the create data?
And after that, and then create data based on that calculation, it shows the previous one or random. Um, That's a dumb question, but I'll get with support on the exact one because I need to share my screen.
Yeah. It's a little hard. I think I was just a little confused on exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah,
Is there
but
a best practice? I'm sure that they'd be able to help a little bit more with that, like seeing a specific example, um, if that's the case.
okay. Yeah, so dumb question.
No, it's not a dumb question. I think it's a valid question. It might just be a little bit more difficult to create it, at least in this kind of platform. I'm also I I am the lone trainer today. Everyone else is on like special events or out today, so also other perspectives that may have seen it, like Gregory used to be on support. And I know sometimes he might have an immediate, thought on that kind of thing, but he's unfortunately not here to help either, which is okay. Any other questions?
A fun one.
Sure, what is it?
Can you create a snake game on the forums in decisions?
I'm sure there's some interesting ways you can mess with things like this. Um, I do know for sure, and I know you've been, attending these things for a while, so you may have actually heard Jared talk about this a lot. Um, but I know Jared has actually made a fully working calculator in decisions. That I think it was on a forum. It might have been on a page, or maybe it was a mix of both. But he definitely used like forms and active form flows and sub dialog flows and different things like that to fully create a working calculator in decisions. And that was an older version of decisions. So I'm sure that now it can be optimized even better. So obviously it would take a lot of work to like set
Oh,
those kinds of things up, but definitely some
I've seen
interesting
that. Yeah,
things that people have done.
I actually created the snake game in decisions 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool. What did you use to do it?
Mostly HTML and JavaScript.
That's really neat. Okay. This is for everyone else to know what I'm talking about. This is Jared's video, creating a calculator in decisions. So he actually utilized, and it's a whole walkthrough. So it's not just like making it. He actually did a full walkthrough, talked about event buttons and everything, and made a fully functioning calculator in decisions. And showed this whole process of building it, debugging it, and everything. So it looks kind of like this, clearing the data, having a place to populate all the values that you click on, calculating the numbers and things like that. Um, and then this one's simplistic, right? Like obviously not using a lot of HTML or things to make it look nicer. Obviously, I think that would definitely play into any kind of games and decisions looking really nice, um, and that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I think it makes me think of you bringing up that you made the snake game and stuff like back in school when especially when calculators started to get more and more complicated with like, the TI-83s and stuff, when like someone would come in and they had like the more complex ones and they would play Block Dude and other games on it. Like I'm sure you can make some fairly simplistic ones. Um, the more complex, obviously, you'd need to have like HTML and stuff to do it. But that's a really cool idea. I would love to see if anyone else has actually done that more. Um, I've never actually explored looking at it, but it would not surprise me if some of our developers or people that have been working with decisions for a long time have tried messing around with that in on their own time. Definitely some clever ideas, and I'm sure that there's some really neat things. I feel like some of the simplistic ones, like Snake Game, maybe like a simple Tetris, could definitely be doable if you're diligent and kind of know what you're doing. Especially with like the grids and the Tetris kind of concept, I think could be definitely manageable to track pretty easily. Definitely clever ideas though. All right. Well,
Uh, do you know if that's on the roadmap to add some more like visual controls to the forms and pages? Like for
visual.
example, like complex menu, like website looking like menu.
Hmm. Um, Not that I'm aware of, but I don't personally, I don't like regularly communicate with the people on the roadmap. And I've just been a little busy to be able to start, attending the future one, the webinar that we've got for this. Um, so I don't know for sure. I have not heard anything, but I don't necessarily keep my ear like super close to the those discussions all the time. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure that there's thoughts or there's feature requests and things like that that are out there for things like that. But as far as I'm aware, have heard of, I don't know like how close those are to being implemented or included in any updates in the future, unfortunately. And I don't know if they have talked about them or will talk about them on this, but um, I have not heard of anything yet, at least.
I've done something like that for like for example, you just create a flow and you basically you just register menu and you say how many items do you want, and those could be constant, those could be fetched, and basically you pick the icon and name and sub menu, and it's like recursively goes and that menu flies out. So for example, you uh, hover over one item and it can have like five sub items, and then those sub items can have sub items, and it goes
Yep.
for and forth. And recursive indecisions could be hard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. I could definitely check in and see if anyone's talked about that kind of thing. But as far as I know, um, at least I haven't seen anything recently about those kind of updates yet, at least.
Cool stuff to make recursion is then if you go to accounts and you create like a uh, managers and accounts under that manager, and then those could be managers and have some accounts. Can you build up a tree of what do you have in decisions?
Sorry, say that last part, that thing one more time.
So if you have an account and that account is like hire a manager,
Hmm.
and that manager could be managing uh, some accounts, and another manager could handle another accounts, let's say departments,
Hmm.
and those accounts can manage another people under them. Can you build up a tree of that in a flow?
Hmm. I'm not 100% sure. I think at least, are you talking explicitly about like the accounts and things, or are you just using that as an example?
Just an example.
Yeah, because I think at least not explicitly with the accounts that becomes more complex because those are only like run by one person. I guess you if like I guess in anything talking about like any kind of management and control over something, you could really like you can be like very careful with the way things are kind of built out in the folder tree in here and where permissions would be, and kind of adjusting that kind of thing. So any kind of adjustment to say, like I have a kind of a mini tree in here, right, with lunch and learn data structures and then the data structures underneath that. So if your folders are organized in such a way, um, with permissions and things, and then you might be able to kind of organize that a little bit. Um, but without maybe a specific example, it might be hard to figure out exactly what ways I can build that in a flow to kind of build out that tree, I guess, not knowing exactly what to do with it. I think it might require a lot of like rule assessment to figure out what data you have and um to make sure like hey that like this top tier manager if they're in like that group or if they cover this group then it can go one way and if it's not then it goes another way and um yeah, I don't know exactly the best way to be able to do that if you can. Um, it would definitely be a lot of very careful management of things like permissions to even talk about who has the ability to work that out. And building that in a flow, I don't know. Unless I had a specific example, it might be tough to kind of piece together, at least conceptually in my mind at the moment.
Um, as users get, can we request some kind of sessions where we will be able to share the screen and kind of lunch and learn, but not sharing stuff that we don't want to share, and it can be on us as users?
Um, let me let me put that down and I can ask about it. Just since I'm the lone trainer at the moment, and I can't just kind of, go and ask my manager real quick. Let me write that down, and we'll see what we can do. We'll talk with a couple teams and see kind of what our options are and what we can do for that. And then once we figure something out, I'll let you know. Um, because I'd be happy to do something like that. If you do have questions regarding that.
Uh, Another question, is Eric Volmering is still a trainer, or he
He
moved?
is in product management. He does a lot of
Oh,
stuff with like the roadmaps and building stuff for future updates and things. Still with the
so
company, just
he's
not
not
training.
training. Okay.
Mhm. Okay. We do have another question from Grant in the Q&A, so I'll hop to that one, and I'll let you talk if you have anything to add, but it's a long question, so let me read it all first. Um, so planning on upgrading from 9.2 to 9.8, are there any new changes that could affect our projects? asking because going from version 8 to 9, there were steps that were deprecated and projects received an overhaul. I know V9 was a big jump that could have messed with that, but just hoping we don't have too many crazy issues. With not having to spend a lot of time resolving all the kinks and things. So yeah, the easy place for this is we do have our release notes on our documentation. So if you go to the release notes section of this little bubble up here, the best way to kind of look at this is to go here and you can see like in general all of the changes, but obviously the most important ones will be things like breaking changes. And so this breaking changes section will help find where any like potential issues um, may be found. So if you have something that kind of sticks out to you or something to look out for, you can go through these things and look for the differences to say like, hey, I'm in 9.2 now, so anything going moving up from here, what are my possible breaking changes? Right? Like between 9.2 and 9.8, we did remove flow execution extensions. So that's something that you might have to keep in mind. If you use any flow execution extensions, they should still work, but you won't be able to create new ones. So it shouldn't necessarily like, break if you already are using flow execution extensions. Um, and thank you, Jasmine, for posting that in the chat for everyone. So you can always take a look at that link in the chat. But yeah, so these should be, updated and populated. And if you look on like the release notes for that page as well, like 9.5, it'll list those same things as well. So it'll show all these items, say the same exact explanation. So 9.x breaking changes should show all of them. And then if you go to the individual ones, you can still find them. So it looks like this maybe isn't fully updated because it doesn't have up 9.6 and up. But on 9.6 at least, right there you go. Auth ID is removed, caching has been changed, blah 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 blah. So you can easily look at some of these updates, and if there's anything that's important, obviously this is pretty good, pretty useful to know. You have to upgrade your .NET version as well. So because the most recent versions require .NET 9, things like that. So then hopefully that gives you an idea of items that if you're using any of these things to keep in mind and look for potential fixes for them, or if it is something that you're really worried about, you can always ask the support team to, help if they know the workarounds or things that you need to plan beforehand so that you can kind of do that. But yeah, and they should always have like updates and things. Quite often there's certain things that, you know, that are planned or expected to be removed, like that the flow execution extensions, for example, that was like a planned removal. It wasn't something that was like broken or not working and it broke when we had the upgrade. That was something that like we planned to purposely remove because everything that a flow execution extension can do, a case entity can do, in pretty much the exact same way without needing, certain extra elements and things. So stuff like that, maybe. And if there are certain broken things, then yes, they will get, if it is like a break that we are aware of and are, pointing out to people to say, hey, this is something that broke on this update, we will attempt to fix it, or we'll have kind of like expectations for a workaround or a fix for it, that usually the support team can help with. But um, most of the time will be if it is broken, we'll share how to fix it or when the fix comes, if that is something that um, needs to be fixed. And if you experience anything, obviously, report that to us. Let the support team know, hey, we upgraded, this suddenly stopped working, and then they'll be happy to kind of help assist with that in whatever ways possible. So, and yeah, with 9.8, you will need to update your .NET. I can speak from experience on that. Like I upgraded. I think 9.7 is the one that my version is currently on. I hadn't done 9.8 yet. But on 9.7, if I tried to install it or install the update, it told me I can't until I update my .NET. So you will definitely need to update .NET in order to upgrade.
Yeah. If you have some custom code, you will need to recompile it to be valid for .NET version that you have, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. right. Any other questions from anyone? Manal, you have a question? Go ahead. I'll give you the chance to speak. You can unmute and ask a question.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear
Okay. I had a quick question similar to the upgrade. So when we
you.
upgrade, so for example, we just upgrade to 8.22 from I think 8.1. It was a minor version upgrade.
Hmm.
So we do that and then we're doing the prod next week. Do we have to upgrade repo too? I know this may be a really silly question.
Um, uh, it's a little
Mm-hmm.
fuzzy for me. I do believe that in some way, it's definitely a question that I think the support team can definitely answer better.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I do believe that in some ways, at least, it doesn't matter too much. Um, Again, not this. Don't take my word
Mm-hmm.
completely at heart here. I know for sure that like if your repo is on like a lower version, it can still take in like a higher version's information and then send it back out. Um, so because I have worked with situations like that where I had pushed a project from version 9 into like a repo that was on a lower version of version 9,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was no issues with checking it out and everything. Um, so I know in some ways it's manageable and is not problematic, but I would also assume that it's probably best to have everything match.
Okay.
I would at least imagine that's best practice. Support and those teams can definitely confirm and give you the more concrete answer for sure. Um, but
Manal,
that's my best answer there.
Manal, from my experience, if you
Gotcha.
don't go from 8 to 9, if your repo, let's say 8.18 or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
your uh, version 8.22 or whatever, higher version, uh, repo doesn't matter. You should be fine.
Okay, okay. Gotcha. And I also have one more question.
Mhm.
So we used to have Active Directory before we got SAML login, and we used to have a bunch of groups where automatically the people would be added to the groups. But now since we don't have Active Directory and we just use SAML, that thing has been broken. I mean, it's not broken, it works, but now we have to go in manually and add each person to those particular groups. So the users were wondering if there is a way, for example, if I create a group for carrier group, and is there any possibility for the users to just add them by themselves? Like, for example, if I have 20 people, 20 new employees, I just want to add it by myself as a user, or I have to all, because right now they always have to go to the IT team, which is us, for us to add people to the group. Is there any automated way, or is it always something that admin has to do?
The biggest thing here
Mm-hmm.
is that uh, like the system like section where you do kind of create those and add those groups is only accessible by someone that has admin permissions,
Gotcha.
right? So like if I'm a designer, right, because we have our
Mm-hmm.
those three main groups, right? Administrators, all users, and designers. If I'm a
Mm-hmm.
designer, I don't have access to the system cogwheel here. So I have access to projects, and technically, and you're in version 8, so it doesn't matter. In version 9, there are groups within projects, but in version 8, that doesn't even matter. Like that doesn't apply at all. So the only
Mm-hmm.
people that have access to the accounts and groups page here to be able to, right click and add or remove groups, or, go to groups and add or remove accounts are only people that have admin privileges. So unfortunately, there isn't
Mm-hmm.
like that. There's definitely steps you
Uh,
could do. There's like internal services that you could
Mm-hmm.
do that would be like adding groups. So you could probably build like a flow,
Mm-hmm.
if you would like, that would like allow them to add groups um there. So maybe that's, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, the option if you want to build like a special flow that a user could, open up and um
Yeah, gotcha. Because we have like 46 groups for this one project, and sometimes they have to add, like they tell us like, hey, add like 8 people to each group, and I'm just like going in and adding it each by each. Sometimes it's cool, but sometimes it's like I wish they could have done it by itself by themselves.
yeah, I think
Manal,
like this, like add
I've
group to
done
user, right?
Manal, I've done something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you have an API to your SAML,
Mm-hmm.
and you would need to create like a on login flow, because sometimes somebody is removed to the group from the group, and somebody is added to the group. And on login, you create a flow to check all those things and synchronize the decisions. That's what I've done.
Got it. Do you guys have an example by chance anywhere?
I do.
Mhm. So,
I
like,
cannot share it here.
mhm.
I can send it to your email, but
Yeah, yeah, if you could do that, that would be great. This way I can just create something where I don't have to rely, where users does not have to rely on us every single
Mhm.
time to just
Mm.
add people to the group.
Yeah, if you can send me your email address, I can send you an example of that.
Mm, sure. And I think those were only two of my questions. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, VT, if I'm not wrong. I appreciate both of your help.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Happy to help, and thanks, BT, for joining in and jumping in on those answers.
Uh, can you send me Manal's email?
Yep, I will. I was waiting to see it pop up. There you go. Let me know when you got that. I think we're done for the day.
I got that.
Perfect.
Let me. Can I copy from here?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. I think we'll go ahead and end it there since I think we've kind of answered all the questions that we've had. Rest of the week, rest of the training team will be coming back. So we'll have full teams to help also with questions and interpretations of things. So if we have more questions or if you want to re-ask anything, we can continue that. Gregory will be leading tomorrow. I'll probably be joining him as well. And then we got Gregory and Robert closing off the rest of this week. So thank you all for
Uh,
joining. Don't
uh,
forget to check out. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
can you hold on? I need to type. I cannot copy from chat.
Oh, okay. No problem. Interesting surprise.
I'm good.
All right. Awesome. All right. Again, thank you all for joining. We got the rest of this week coming up, obviously, for more lunch and learn questions. Don't forget to check out our future events if you want to sign up for any of those webinars. We'll go ahead and end it for today, and we'll see you all the rest of this week. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.